you folks got to see the movie inside before you got on the bus?
know about moving.
All right. Well, if you didn't, it's shown in 2 theaters inside. It's about 21 minutes. A lot of information about the memorial and the foundation up here. But you're always, before or after the tour, either way works good. So this project got started around 1939. And they didn't start blasting then, but that's when the sculptor Korczak Julkowski submitted a bust to the World's Fair. And that was in 39, and that year was in New York. And he actually won first place with that bust. It was Petrovsky, who was a composer, pianist. And he also, in 1939, worked on Mount Rushmore during the summer under Borglum as an assistant. And due to all that, the Lakota elders just have noticed him because of what he'd been doing. And Chief Henry Standing Bear actually sent him some correspondence. And he contacted him and asked him if he would create a memorial for them so that the white man knew that the red man had great ears also. We're going to stop right here briefly. Up here on the mountain, you'll see an outline of the horse's head on the very far right edge. That ear is pretty prominent in the eye. The sun's a little hard on it right now to see, but Korczak's wife, Ruth, actually helped him do that outline. And she was actually almost where we were boarding the bus down there. She had a 2-way radio, a drawing, and a set of binoculars. Korczak's job was a little more daunting. He was hanging off the side of the mountain on a 1-inch rope with a 6-inch paintbrush in this hand and a gallon of paint in that hand. Just happened to be white. And even though it doesn't look that wide, that line on the outline of the horse's head up there is 3 feet wide. The rock's fairly porous. And it only took him 176 gallons to do that outline up there on the mountain. So you can imagine he had lunch up there more than one day, right? One thing he was really happy about when he got done is that his wife didn't ask for a second coat of paint. At that time, they were actually giving some gate tours. They were 50 cents a carload, and that's what you guys paid, right? Just kidding. We'll make sure everyone's paying attention. Anyway, that didn't do anything to offset their cost because they never took any government funding up here, and they still don't. So everything that they did up here in the beginning kind of came out of their pocket. Whenever donations, they could rally together. And what irritated Korczak just a little bit is people thought when they saw that white outline that he was painting a mural up here, not carving this whole mountain. And the reason they put that up there is in the early days, you really couldn't tell what they had in mind for the sculpture. So that horse's head was just to kind of give people a little bit of direction as to what they were going to do in the future. So I'm going to make some direct comparisons to Mount Rushmore. And the reason I do it is to give you guys a way to put these two projects into scale in your mind. I love Mount Rushmore. I think it's an awesome project. It's just a little smaller scale than this. So Crazy Horse's head is 87.5 feet from the bottom of his chin to the top of his head. Presidents have been carved on Mount Rushmore at approximately 60 feet from chin to top of head. So that gives you an idea, a little bit of an idea there. You'll notice an area behind Crazy Horse's head to the left, and that area is red. And where the red stops, the greenish gray starts, is where we stop blasting. That area is going to be Crazy Horse's flowing hair. He's riding a stallion into the wind, so his hair is flowing behind him. So that spot where his face is carved and his hair is going to be, we could actually take Mount Rushmore and put it right there on the mountain and it would fit. Interesting. In comparison, the amount of rock moved. Mount Rushmore, they blasted over 140,000 tons of white pegmatite granite to create the sculpture of the presidents. And although it's a grand sculpture, and I love it, so far to date, they've blasted between 7 and 8 million tons of pegmatite granite on this project. One of the reasons, besides just the sheer scale of this, is that this sculpture of this memorial is being carved in what they call in the round. So if we were to think about in the round, that means not only be carving the front, but the back. So instead of being kind of one-dimensional, this will be a full 3-dimensional project. You guys probably saw that big tunnel that's carved through the mountain and his sons did that. He said it was one of the hardest things he'd done to date, keeping in mind that he passed away before the face was done. And that was in 82 when Pork Chop passed away. And the reason it was difficult is they had to be very accurate with the placement of that. That tunnel will eventually expand about 110 by 100, and it'll be down the horse's mane and up the front of Crazy Horse's chest. And of course, the top portion of that will be the bottom of his arm. So they had to put it in the right spot. One of the things that was very difficult for him is he had 6 years correspondence with Lakota, and they were just talking back and forth, him and Chief Henry Standing Bear, just getting to know each other a little bit. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to do this at that time yet, but he was sure thinking about it. And this is a road right here that leads up to the top of the mountain where the construction crews work up on the mountain crew. We bring all our material up here, and there's actually a parking lot where the guys park up there to work. You guys see a little D6 track dozer over here, a little cat? That cat was used to cut this roadway up the back. And his son Casimir was operating that dozer one day, pushing off the side, because that's how you cut a road around the mountain. You have to actually push off the side. He lost his brakes, and Casimir and the dozer went 70 feet off the side of the mountain. Kortchak saw the dozer go over and expected the worst, walked to the edge, and saw Casimir down there just knocking the dust off himself. He had some cuts and bruises, but he landed in some of the softest material there. The dozer landed on its tracks and the engine was still running. Kortchak told Casimir, he said, well, son, you got the dozer in there, why don't you go ahead and get it out? And so I'm sure what he had to do is he had to cut a road down from where the dozer fell, because he wasn't going to do it up. So this little building is really important over here to us. There was a father and son living there when Kortchak got up here after he came back from the European theater. And there was a father and son, and they had a mining claim up here, and they were mining mica on the mountain directly behind us. And Kortchak actually volunteered for the Army. He landed on Omaha Beach, and he received 2 Purple Hearts in action there in the European theater. And so, before he came back to the United States from Europe, he had a lot of paying work over there. They wanted to hire him to carve sculptures for the war memorials for all of our fallen troops. And although he's a great patriot, this project was already kind of in his heart and in his mind. And he came back here, gave up those paying commissions to work here, and he vowed never to take pay his entire life on this project, and he didn't. So this is a rock quarry we operate here. We push muck from our blasting operations on the mountain down, goes through a crusher. One of Kortchak's and Ruth's sons, Adam, actually runs crushing plant. And you see we're making different sized boulders and road fill. All the roads on this property, over 1,000 acres, are made from the material that comes off our crushing and screening plant. All the rock walls, foundations of the buildings have been made with rock and material from the mountain. And although it could be a great asset to sell it, they won't sell the rock because we're on sacred ground here for the Lakota and the Native Americans. They do donate it to causes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the ladder set up so you guys can disembark the bus. We'll spend about 10-15 minutes up here. If you need help taking pictures, I'll help you do that so you get everybody in. We ask you to stay inside the boundaries of the cones and the rope. No drone flights here and no smoking. I'm going to get down and you guys can start the rest of our tour. I know.